Welcome back to On the Mic with Dr. Ace, the Global Mentor Coach, and I hope you are enjoying this season's topics. I've been working really hard to bring you some relevant content that will help you grow your business. This episode really is going to help improve your skills as a leader. Today, I'm addressing how to handle leaders who are poor communicators. Even if you do not own a business, every single one of us has worked with somebody that does not know how to communicate. Okay, when that person is your direct report, it's an even bigger challenge because you're like, okay, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so poor communicators really create impossible work environments. They are often at the root of the problems that are happening in the workplace simply because they don't know how to communicate. According to a study that I've read, 44% of respondents said such issues delay or derail projects, while nearly a third said they cause low morale. It's a lot. A quarter attributed poor communication to missed performance goals, and 18% said a failure to communicate caused lost sales, sometimes totaling well into the six figures. Wow. So how do we handle them? Like how do we get a handle on these people? First of all, I think it's important to understand why they're such poor communicators. Vulnerability is one reason leaders are poor communicators. Folks don't like to be transparent. They don't like to be exposed. Typically, vulnerable leaders are uncomfortable and they'll use the least amount of words possible. But in this regard, you've got to pay very close attention to what I call micro expressions. What are micro expressions? I am specifically talking about body language and facial expressions. Other micro expressions might include their tone, their pitch, the language that they use. But here specifically with vulnerable people, you want to look at their body language and facial expressions. What are they saying without using words? And that's a special skill that everyone is not versed in, which is why it creates such a problem in the workplace. Another reason is intimidation, but it's not what you're thinking. Not what you're thinking. People in authority are conscious of their presence and how their authority can be intimidating to others in the workplace, especially those who are in a lower rank, people who are maybe even in a different department or area. So they think that this is a reason to what I call dumb down their speech. And that is a big no-no. Okay, you never want to dumb down your speech. What you want to do is be consistent with the way you communicate. Okay, don't do that. Okay, people who for lack of a better way of saying it, they're intimidated by their intimidation. And but the thing is, you've got to continue to speak the same way across the board. Then filter any questions subordinates, lower level employees, or leadership has. Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to have questions. But maybe one of the reasons they dumb down their speeches because they don't want to filter those questions because they don't have the answers. Either way, it's not the answer. That's definitely not the way to go. Okay. Another reason, and I just kind of really pretty much touched on this, is when the leader is not a subject matter expert, it makes them uncomfortable, so they'll communicate poorly. They'll either shut down or bow out of conversations. This isn't always the way to go, because what if there's a group project that's really relying or dependent upon the leader? And they've got to jump in there. What could possibly happen? Well, the project could derail. It could miss deadlines. It could cost dollars. It could cost a client, the reputation of the company. The people on the team might make bad decisions because they didn't have that input from the leader. So when a leader is not a subject matter expert, that can cause them to communicate poorly because it's an insecurity, that's exposed. They're not confident and they don't want to show it. But that's counterproductive. It's counterproductive to the leader, but it's also counterproductive to everybody in the workplace. I think this is why so many don't have an executive presence about themselves. If you notice, just think about people that you work with, people you've worked with in the past, maybe current people, or even people clients, vendors that you work with that don't have an executive presence. Are they really good communicators? Can they present well? Do they present themselves well? So it really depends. I've noticed that from my personal experience, people who present themselves well communicate well. Even if they flub a little bit, they still find a way to rebound, to find the right words to express what they need based on the audience, who's in that space, who's in that room. And so there's kind of a connection between executive presence, how people carry themselves, how they present themselves, how they look, with confidence, and how they communicate. And I think that it makes a difference. When you lack confidence, you just don't carry yourself as a person in authority. It doesn't come across well. It doesn't communicate well. So, and sometimes these are the very people who want to be promoted. They want an executive position. They want that executive level status, but they likely never achieve it because they can't get past that insecurity, that lack of confidence that they have. Because looking executive and actually being executive are two different things. A person can look presidential. You can dress it up any way you want it. But can they pull off actually being presidential? It matters. That's what we're talking about here. So how do we overcome these challenges? I've already shared a few things with you, but I will say one of the first things you don't want to do, that a lot of people will be tempted to do, especially if you're petty, is throw your boss under the bus. Please don't do that. Don't. I know it's tempting, but that is not what you want to do, because I promise you things are not going to go the way you expect. That's not the way to go. Why? Because that's really a reflection on you and your leadership and who you are as a person. So you don't want your intentions to reflect poorly on yourself, because that's also a reflection on how you communicate and what you're willing to do. It doesn't show you as a team player. You want to actually show yourself as someone who's helpful to your teammate. Help them. I know that it sounds crazy, but you actually need to help. So I would say first, learn the art of diplomacy. Well, actually second, learn the art of diplomacy. Okay. What does that mean? Finesse. Learn how to finesse the situation. How can I maneuver? I want to help. Again, help, but I need to finesse this thing. How do I make this work? To where we can fix the situation and I still come out on top, because there's always a way to do that. You need to find out where the disconnect is happening. Maybe what I've shared here does not apply, and that's okay. Maybe none of those characteristics apply, and that's actually okay, but you still need to find out where that disconnect is happening. Once you identify the disconnect, find ways to fix it. There's no one size fits all to, fixing poor communication skills, because it really depends on the individuals involved. How deep does this rabbit trail go? Perhaps you just need to reframe what's been said. Reshape it, reframe it, use different words till you get clarity, till everybody gets clarity. This helps everybody refocus, and maybe things need to be redirected. Maybe it's just not going in the right direction. Maybe you need to redirect the conversation. Another thing you want to do is clarify priorities. Listen, you cannot be afraid to ask questions. Even if it makes the person uncomfortable, get on their nerves, at least you need to ask questions until you get the answers you need. Even if they finally break down and say, I don't know, but I'll find someone that has the answers. You don't stop, but there's a way to do it. You know, if you find the person is getting frustrated and exasperated, you need to possibly find another stakeholder. Find somebody else that can get you the answers that you need, and maybe you need somebody to mediate the conversation. And that's okay. When it's all said and done, and I do mean said and done, pun intended, put it in writing. Put it in writing. Okay, you want to summarize the conversation, so and by putting it in writing, you really ensure that everybody's on the same page. So if what you write in the email is not clear, maybe your fact was off, or maybe there's a little confusion somewhere, it can be identified and say, no, this is what we concluded, and this is how we came to that conclusion. So I want to thank you for listening. You've been on the mic with Dr. Reese, the Global Mentor Coach. I really do. I listen with everything in me. I sincerely hope you learn some valuable tips on how to overcome poor leader communication. So if you like this podcast, please make sure you like and share it. I sincerely appreciate your support. It's meant the world to me. If there are topics you'd like me to cover, send them to info@globalmentorcoach.com. Again, that's info@globalmentorcoach.com. Send me any topics that you would like me to cover. Again, I thank you for tuning in with me, Dr. Race, the Global Mentor Coach. Remember to spread lots of love and light. Until next time, bye.